A long time ago, I almost ended up in jail. Why? Because I didn't know how to communicate effectively. It all began when I was on vacation with my friends from college. And what do young people on vacations? Stupid things, of course. Our stupid thing was deciding to watch Ocean's 11 in an open-air cinema without a ticket. We spotted a delivery truck near the fence surrounding the open-air cinema. So we decided to climb on top of it to watch the movie. But I don't remember the movie. 2 reasons. My friends and beer. I mean, some of my friends were throwing empty plastic beer cups into the open-air cinema space. Not me. Anyway, someone got annoyed and called the police. Before we knew it, we were surrounded by a platoon of officers. Big guys with guns and threatening looks. We got really scared. And then there was the questioning. The policeman kept inquiring if I was the one throwing empty plastic beer cups at people. His expression and tone were so intimidating that I couldn't bring myself to clearly state it wasn't me. My explanations came out vague and scattered. I don't know, I don't remember, maybe it was someone else. A few weeks later, the trial took place. Out of the 10 suspects, only I and one of my friends were found guilty. Most likely because we were the only ones who never firmly stated it wasn't me. All of my other friends, including those who were actually throwing the cups, denied everything. If only I were so criminally gifted. During the trial, the harmless plastic cups in the complaint somehow changed to deadly glass bottles. The court found we had committed a severe hooligan act. We were given 2 weeks of prison, suspended for a year. So thankfully, we didn't go to jail. But you can imagine, it was a tough year. So yes, you're looking at the face of a would-be criminal. Here's a different view. This is just one real-life example of ineffective communication. And it's a minor example. Failures to speak up can sometimes lead to real disasters, like the crash of Alfaro, the container ship that sailed head-on into a hurricane in 2015. The reason? The captain wanted to take the shortest route at all costs. The crew members were scared, but they conveyed their fears in a vague and hesitant way. The effect? The ship sank and 33 people died. Is there a chance to prevent such events? In my opinion, yes, there is. It's simple communication. By simple, I mean communication that is structured, inclusive, minimalistic, pictorial, leading, and empathetic. If you haven't noticed yet, it's an acronym. So let's dive into it. S for structured. Journalists like to use the inverted pyramid strategy. This inverted triangle represents the structure of our message. So, with this strategy in mind, start with the most important things and then gradually move on to the less important things. Start with the general information and then move on to the details. Take a look at this example. The text on this slide has no structure. If we wanted to highlight the keywords here, it would look like this. Horrible. But if we put the keywords at the beginning of each piece of information, we achieve order. It looks better, and our audience can easily understand what we want to say. The same goes for emails. I don't know about you, but emails like this remind me of unpaid bills. I'd rather read some ancient poetry. So, let's separate the threads, name them, put them in bold, and number them. Let's organize the information. Structure is more challenging to achieve in speeches, but what can help? Structuring phrases with words such as firstly, secondly, and thirdly. Also, twisters such as but. On the other hand, everything was going well until, and many similar phrases. When we hear these words, we know there's a twist ahead in the plot. It keeps people engaged. But what's even more important is pausing. Let's take 3 seconds of silence before we say anything. These 3 seconds allow our brains to structure what we want to say. Simple communication is structured communication, and structured communication is just easier to understand. I for inclusive. We fall into communication traps all the time. Someone asks, "Are you sure?" And we automatically reply, "Yes, of course." Only after do we realize, wait a minute, am I really 100% sure? That's how we make life devastating decisions. We buy drums for our kids. We accept an unpaid internship in a big corporation. We get a tattoo at a bachelor or a bachelor party. And then when we finally realize what we've done, we are told, "But you said you were sure." These are the traps of binary questions. Binary meaning yes or no questions. In his great book, Leadership is Language, David Marquet suggests asking open-ended questions instead of binary questions. Instead of, "Are you sure?" ask, on a scale from 1 to 10, "How sure are you?" Instead of, "Do you get what I mean?" ask, "What else should I explain?" Instead of, "Do you have any questions?" ask, "What questions do you have?" Open-ended questions invite people to participate in the discussion. It's the opposite of the situation where the boss is surrounded by passive yes men. That's a dangerous approach. Consensus makes you comfortable. Dissent makes you smarter. M for minimalistic. Simple communication is concise communication. Let's respect our recipient's time. It's the most valuable resource that we have. P for pictorial. Big corporations excel at creating long, complex statements no one understands. For example, our company is going through a difficult period due to many unforeseen external factors, and therefore we must make adjustments and optimizations. Translation: our company is at a crossroads, and immediately the vision of a crossroads appears in the audience's minds. They can see it, feel it, and therefore better understand the gravity of the situation. Visual communication is a powerful thing. So, in presentations, use pictures, icons, diagrams, and charts instead of tables. When explaining, try some sketching. When speaking, look for visual metaphors. A few words that paint a picture say more than 15 minutes of complex explanations. More specifics, less fluff. L for leading. Remember this triangle? What does the vertex at the bottom remind you of? To me, it's an arrow. A road sign for our audience indicating where they should go and what they should do next. In marketing, it is known as call to action. Many ads follow this structure. They usually end with something like, "Visit our store today," or "Subscribe for free." And yet our everyday communication lacks this kind of simple calls to action. We talk a lot, but we don't know how to clearly state what we expect from our listeners. So, at the end of your presentation, try telling your audience what to do. It can be a simple call to action or a more detailed action plan that covers the who, what, and when, just like in this example. But a call to action doesn't always need to be placed at the end of a message. Sometimes it can be at the beginning. For example, when you meet a friend, start by saying, listen, can you please lend me $20? And then if he doesn't run away, try explaining why you need such a fortune. For example, listen, I got wasted at Dave's bachelor party and long story short, I got a tattoo on my butt and I need to get it removed before my wife sees it. E for empathetic. And now I have a quick test for you. Think about the last time you had a conversation with someone, a friend, a colleague from work, or an alien. What were you thinking about while they were doing the talking? A, did you think about what they were saying? B, did you think about what you'd reply after they were done talking? C, did you think about stars and galaxies or other irrelevant things? You don't have to answer out loud. I can already see in your faces which option you've chosen. If you chose A, congrats. You're great listeners. If you chose B, well, you could do better. If you chose C, it doesn't matter because I imagine you're not even listening to me right now. To truly understand what someone is saying, we must develop the skill of empathetic listening. We must listen carefully. Only then can communication be effective. But a communication needs also empathy in speaking. Recently, I saw this beautiful phrase, you can say whatever you need to say, so long as you say it with respect. Remember the El Faro crash? The container ship that sailed in the hurricane, the ship sank and 33 people died. But what if someone from the crew had said, Captain, I'm afraid we're sailing into a hurricane and I strongly believe that we should choose a different route. Our lives depend on it. Would that be considered arrogant or disrespectful? Absolutely not. It's a simple message filled with empathy and courage, and it could have saved 33 lives. What if it was said only with empathy, but without courage? It would sound something like, you're a great leader, Captain, but you could be a better one. And what if it was said only with courage, but without empathy? Are you insane, Captain? Are you stupid? A chimpanzee with no arms would make a better captain. A message said without courage wouldn't be strong enough. Said without empathy, it would ruin the relationship and wouldn't persuade at all. Empathy and courage are essential when it comes to difficult conversations. And in a broader sense, courage is just empathy and respect, but for yourself. So here's my idea of simple communication. It's a communication that is structured, inclusive, minimalistic, pictorial, leading, empathetic. Knowing these principles won't make us great communicators right away. They need to be practiced over and over again in real-life situations. And yes, there are other ways of addressing effective communication, such as storytelling. Recently, storytelling has been discussed a lot. I have a dream that simple communication will be discussed a lot too. And there's a chance my dream will come true. You're that chance. It's my dream that after this talk, you'll be able to communicate more simply and effectively. Before you open your mouth, think about the structure of what you're about to say. Give only essential information and speak in shorter time than your listeners expected. Evoke visions, speak with courage, show empathy and respect for your listeners. And most importantly, speak. Because if you have something important to tell the world, don't keep it to yourself. Step forward, take a deep breath, and speak. Thank you.